Welcome back to the show. With us now is Francois Gonthier, CEO of Genia Photonics. Francois, welcome. Now, pardon me, I'm going to be reading here because your technology is really high-tech and I want to get this straight. That you're a developer and manufacturer of advanced laser systems that are 10 million times faster than some of the best competing systems out there. And more than just lip service, your first application is actually being funded by an investment arm of the U.S. federal government. If you can, give us a couple of examples of how the audience would be able to see your technology, or at least know how your technology is being used.
Well, our technology will soon come in the market, and the first application that we're developing with the US government is to detect explosives. So we use the lasers to detect chemicals or molecules in very small quantities and at a distance. So the first application they're asking us to look at is airport security, where we could replace swabbing and removal of shoes just by a system where you just pass through and you're scanned and that's it.
And are you scanned by lasers? So as you're walking through, there are lasers that are looking at you?
Yes, but they're invisible, they're extremely low power. It's the intelligence of the laser system that makes the explosive detection possible, but it's not the power of the laser. So they're very benign and
yeah, they don't hurt. They're not going to hurt anybody.
They're not going to hurt anybody, and they're very discreet, and they will just accelerate the process of getting onto the plane because you won't have to remove your shoes, you might not have to remove your computer from your bag, and you don't have to be swabbed by an officer. So everything should happen much faster like that.
Well, I can tell you that's going to make my wife at home very happy because one of the most aggravating parts of the whole airport process is removing the shoes, removing the belts, and doing all those things. How's Genia going to make a real difference for people?
Well, on the security side, it's obvious that people want to know in large buildings or in private buildings or government buildings if there's a security risk. And because we can scan at a distance, we can provide security at the entrance without having a security portal. So people can just walk in and they won't see it, but there will be security there. The building will be
and I've got to imagine it's going to be
secure.
great for schools too, because we know that school security is a big problem. But you know, it's too expensive to put in those, like you said, those walk-through security systems. So hopefully you can help out schools.
The market is enormous for that, and people won't see it, but actually it will make a huge difference in their lives.
Let's talk about how your technology can be applied to other fields, such as the biomedical field, for example. Talk to me about those kind of examples.
Well, we're measuring molecules, and actually the first demonstration we did was measure molecules in tissues, so live tissues. And the difference is we can do it very fast. So we can do it during operations. So for example, when a surgeon removes a cancer tumor, the laser can scan the patient even during the operation and tell the surgeon if the cancer is still there and needs to be removed, so that the surgeon has a direct feedback in the operating room of what to remove. And he doesn't have to take a biopsy, send the biopsy to the lab, wait for the lab to come back, and all that. So that will accelerate the operations and increase the probability that it will be a success because he will see the cancer with a screen, which is completely impossible to do right now. And it has application in brain surgery, it has application in spinal cord surgery, and we have already projects with medical teams that are developing those new procedures with this equipment.
For me, this is very exciting. In fact, I know it's taken down, but I just watched the movie Elysium with Matt Damon, where part of it was all the wealthy people on Earth were able to scan themselves and find out if they had any problems. Almost sounds like the same kind of thing. Hopefully we don't have to wait 50 years for the technology. So how far away are you from market acceptance?
So we're already working with the people who are developing the medical procedures and all that. It's sure that it will take a few years, 4 to 5 years, before you see that in hospitals.
Right.
But you know, we're replacing biopsies, whether it's in operations or in clinics, so doctors will have equipment that will enable them to get direct feedback to the patient while he's there, not wait 3 weeks for a result.
And your business model, it sounds like you're not going to be building all these different kinds of equipment. You're going to be providing the laser technology and letting those other companies include your laser technology within?
Yes.
Within
but one part that we control is the software.
Right.
And the software is a very important part because it defines the application. And it's part of our business model to upgrade the software to new applications.
Sure.
So people will have our laser, which is like a computer, and you can just load new software to detect other things. For example, the equipment can be used for breast cancer, for example. Have another software, it will be pancreas cancer, or another software, it will be brain cancer. So this gives a lot of flexibility to the technology. It's not just the hardware, it's the way that it can be configured by software, which gives us a great advantage.
So theoretically, I may be sitting here talking to the next Bill Gates, when Bill came out with software to power all these different devices, and nobody foresaw that back then. Now we're talking to you, Francois, and potentially your laser technology could be used in hundreds of applications
yes.
Around the world.
Yeah, definitely, and it will be hardware and software, a bit like Apple, which has his hardware and software. Well, they're making a lot of money with the apps and all that, and that's also a possibility. Of course, it's much more on the physics side and the medical side and the consumer side, but people will benefit from it greatly.
Well, it's exciting. I want to thank you for being here, and I look forward to talking to you more about it in the roundtable.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is growing a different kind of resource than you're used to watching on this show. Cameron McDonald is with Global Seafood Group. Cameron, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so you're farming seafood. What specific types of seafood are you farming right now?
Well, we're in the aquaculture sector, and aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms, be they plants, mollusks, or fish. We're focused on the fish segment, a warm water species in the Caribbean called Florida pompano.
Why Florida pompano?
This is one of the premier sports fish in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. There is a small wild catch fishery down there. It's the highest landed value fish in the Florida market. It is a great aquaculture candidate. We've got a steady supply of raw materials for it, and we've been farming it this last year and are now expanding our operations.
Now, your farms are located in a different place than most of your competitors. You're actually in the Dominican Republic.
Correct.
What are the advantages of being in the Dominican Republic, especially in terms of servicing what I have to assume is a massive U.S. market?
Most people are familiar with farmed salmon. Salmon is a cold water species. We're focused on warm water species. The Florida pompano in particular grows to market size in 7 to 9 months. A salmon can take 2 to 3 years. So our big advantage is getting a product to market very, very quickly. The proximity of the Dominican Republic to the United States means we have big freshness and shelf life advantages over most other imports.
That are mostly come from Asia, from what I gather in your business.
Well, when it comes to a species like salmon, most of U.S. imports are derived from Canada,
Sure.
South America, or Europe. On the lower end of the species, products like tilapia do primarily come from Asia. And that's mainly a frozen product that's imported into the United States.
Now, I was reading your materials, and your materials stated that consumption of seafood is growing pretty rapidly in the U.S. and around the world. So why is that? Are we suddenly all switching our diets and deciding to eat more seafood? What are the factors behind that? And how did that factor into your business plan for Global SeaFarm?
Right. Well, global seafood demand is growing year over year, driven by population. But moreover, you have rising incomes worldwide. People in Asia, South America are consuming more seafood. In the U.S. market in particular, you have demographics as boomers move into their upper age years. They consume more fish relative to beef. Hispanics in the United States consume more fish relative.
Right.
And so all these things are driving per capita consumption up, but they're also driving global prices up. And we're focused on the U.S. market, and the U.S. market is 85–86% dependent on imports for all the seafood it consumes.
Talk about some of the risks in your business, because I'm sure a lot of people at home, I know I've seen news throughout over the last 2-3 years where you hear about outbreaks of things at these salmon farms,
Yep.
right? What are the risks? Is that one of the biggest risks, that having all that in close proximity you could lead to disease and breakouts? Is that the biggest risk, or what is the biggest risk in your business?
Anytime you're dealing with growing animals, disease is a risk. And so it's a risk we mitigate through very active animal husbandry, the way we design our farms to make sure there's maximum disposition between where our ocean cages are located, current, You do have antibiotic use from time to time. It's unavoidable in this industry. And then the other risk, particularly being in the Caribbean, is weather. Now, the infrastructure we use is designed to endure severe weather.
Sure.
Because hurricanes are a reality in this part of the world.
Of course, yeah. The Dominican hurricane, and things should wipe out operations, but I'm sure you've planned for that.
We've endured our fair share of severe weather without any impact on infrastructure or our inventories.
Before I walk you back to the lightning round at the end, how long have you guys been in the Dominican? How long have you had your operations there?
This operation has been there for 5 years. We took it over 3 years ago, got it re-permitted. We have probably the largest permit of its kind in the Caribbean. And we're in the process of ramping that operation right now.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to discussing more about the company in our roundtable at the end. Thanks, Cameron.
Thank you, George.
We'll be right back with the roundtable.